years on earth, and what I devoted myself to. Probably the people that have prosecuted me, their entire office, have probably tried less cases than I've tried. And probably none of them have gotten even close to a case as significant as the ones that I tried and prosecuted successfully. Uh, I can only laugh at it. I'm sad for my country. I'm not sad for myself. I know what I did. I know my contribution to my country. I know my level of honesty and integrity, and certainly with regard to judicial matters, it's of the highest order. Uh, I'm very sad for my country because, I look at my city, and my city has a corrupt judicial system. I mean, we're displaying to the whole world that we're a democratic uh, dictatorship. Our judges are appointed by Democratic bosses with the pretext that they're elected, like Moron, I call him, was elected 3 times without opposition, selected by the Democratic boss in Manhattan. Now, I spent too much time in my life investigating the corruption in New York to really take him seriously, or to take the one who is sitting in the Trump case. To me, they don't deserve the title judges. When I hear state Supreme Court justice in a New York county, I hear Democrat Party boss, because that's who put him there. Now, I don't know what it's like out in Arizona.
Yeah.
I know from the investigation that I did, they've got some pretty darn corrupt areas in Arizona. And I do know they messed around tremendously with that election. And it wasn't the only election they've messed around with. By that I mean cheat. So let's get straight about it. Now,
when you say that, go into that a little bit.
well, I didn't spend as much time on Arizona as I did, let's say, with Georgia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I know those better. I use Christina Bobb to a large extent, and I'm not putting anything off on Christina. If Christina said it happened, it's probably even more accurate than if I said it happened. But Christina kept me apprised all the time. And here's the funny thing. I went out there and I presented the evidence that we had. And some of the older the older Republicans, particularly the rhinos, didn't want to do anything about it. You got a McCain split there too. Funny thing, McCain was a good friend of mine, but you have a McCain-Trump split there. And the Pauls were too afraid to do anything, except a couple of the young ones. Came back, got COVID, and while I got COVID, my son keeps telling me, we're getting all these reports from Arizona, tremendous demonstrations. Now, we've actually been accused of organizing those demonstrations. I might have, but I was too sick. And there were 4 or 5 of them. And by the time I get out of the hospital for COVID,
yeah,
I've got the biggest movement in terms of overturning the election, truly grassroots, than any of the states. So Arizona was turned around by the Republicans in Arizona, who came up with the evidence of the people who voted from out of state, the people who voted, the people who never voted, and therefore their registrations were used. The dead people that voted, the criminals that voted. My goodness, there's almost, I don't know if it's Georgia or Arizona that has the biggest number. I get it confused, unfortunately, now. They're both pretty big. But out-of-state voting was absurd.
Yeah, right.
Because here's what they did, Rob. They keep their records forever. And if you move, let's say you live in Arizona and you move to New York.
Right.
20 years ago, you're still in Arizona. And when I want to do a phony paper ballot, I take Rob and I vote for Rob. Rob doesn't know any difference because he's in New York or he's in Connecticut or he's someplace else. And if you come in and do an audit, however, a really careful one, you start picking that up. So also, they have a lot of people that moved from election district to another election district to another election district.
Right.
That may either be one person or three completely fictitious individuals. This is what a crooked. The Democratic Party has developed this for 150 years, going back to Boss Please. They get a PhD in election fraud, which is why when Biden said he had a great team on election fraud, He was literally and figuratively correct.
Let me ask you this: the fact that this attorney general in Arizona is indicting attorneys for taking the case in Arizona. I mean, what the message, the tyrannical warning that sends to anybody that wants to question an election, which was as shady as the 2020 election was, the message that sends out. Talk about that.
Well, the message that they sent out is, as you say, tyrannical, dictatorial, fascist. I mean, what happened in the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany. Donald Trump and those people who support him are not entitled to lawyers. I mean, you can't believe how hard it will be in this case, as it was in Atlanta, to get enough lawyers to represent those 18, 19 people. I mean, I've had lawyers cry and tell me they wanted to do it, but they'd be thrown out of their law firm. They have 2 kids. Yeah. I had to argue for a lawyer the night. I didn't even know the case. I had to work. I stayed up all night and argued the case because the lawyer was being told that if he didn't get off the case, they were going to not only fire him, they're going to basically ruin his career. Yeah. This is not made up. This is really true. It makes McCarthyism look benign. Yeah. And I know a lot about McCarthyism, believe it or not. I've read about it, and my parents were extremely avid anti-communists. One a Democrat, one a Republican, and they shared a great hatred and knowledge and understanding of communism. Yeah. And McCarthy could never have gotten away with anything like this. Yeah. And the Republicans are the ones who turned on McCarthy. Yeah. You see any Democrats turning on these people? No. I mean, you come up with the worst crime that Biden commits. And they all sit there smiling.
That's true.
And they know he's a crook. They knew he was a crook before I did. I mean, I'm the first one to bring it out in 2017. And when I brought it out, I had some Democrats off the record say to me, "You're pretty naive. You didn't know he's been a big crook all these years."
Well, Mayor, we gotta leave it there. We appreciate you coming on though and telling us your side. I'm glad to see you are in good spirits, sir. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna prevail. No question about it, Rob. I mean, I hate to use God in a situation like this, but we better, because we have to save our country for democracy. And God knows what's happening to us.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you coming on.